Okay, starting over. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Good day to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking and subscribing. It's really important to promote this resource for our practice, right? Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for your practice. Yeah. And again, subscribing, liking, both very important activities to the YouTube algorithms. Not so much for myself, but it is for myself. It's for you too. It's our bodhisattva effort to give people confidence and accurate information on how to practice Nichiren's doctrine of Shakyamuni's teaching, Lotus Sutra, right? Self-realization, how to actuate our Gohonzon mind so that we can experience the world through the clarity of Buddha-ness, yeah? So thank you. Thank you for participating in that. Wanted to make mention that I'm hard at work right now on editing, and I think I just finished the foreword for Nichiren on karma, in which I've assembled several gosho that deal with different aspects of karma, along with my elucidations and scholarship and understanding and insights on what actually is karma. Oh, there's so much misunderstanding on it. Drives me crazy at times, especially if you watch movies or television. Wow, there's a lot of baloney out there about karma. So hopefully that book will straighten us out on that and provide us some of Nichiren's insights specific to karma. So I'm looking forward to honing that book and getting it ready for publication, certainly as an ebook, and maybe as an ebook and a print book, because I don't have anything else like it in the library. And on that note, let me know if there's a book that I don't have available in print that you would prefer to have in print. Let me know. I'm really excited about the ebooks because so many of us in this Sangha are from all over the world. And it's a hardship to try to ship stuff all over the world, let alone the cost, right? Shipping costs have gone nuts. But also there's customs and there's too much. To buy it easily online through Lulu, but through the threefoldlotus.com website as an ebook means you can get it almost immediately. I'm not sure how long that takes to do. It might be immediate. And so much cheaper, so that it's not so much of a hurdle to get these books, these gosho, so that you can study. All right. And we are rapidly getting toward the end of Nichiren on Mandala and Gohonzon. Let's continue with that now. So, from the point where we left off in the last video, these ceremonies, he continues, included the one-character gold wheel ceremony carried out by the administrator of monks, Jien, the Tendai chief priest, and 12 attendant monks at the command of the imperial regent Motomichi. The ceremony of the 4 heavenly kings, carried out by the imperial administrator of monks of Jokoji Temple, Shinsho, with 8 attendant monks at Hirose Palace at the command of Lady Shimemonin. The ceremony of the Wisdom King, immovable, carried out by the administrator of monks Joho, and 8 accompanying monks at the command of Lord Kizan-in Zemon Fujiwara Tadatsuni. The great awesome virtue ceremony carried out by the administrator of monks Kangon with 8 accompanying monks at the command of Lady Shijidoni Join. The ceremony of the wheel-turning king carried out by the administrator of monks Joken with 8 accompanying monks at the command of the same person as above. The 10-altar great awesome virtue ceremony carried out by the 10 monks, the administrator of monks Kakucho, the Dharma seal Sunsho, the Dharma seal Eshin, the Dharma seal Goen, the supervisor of monks Yuen, and administrator of monks Jiken, the supervisor of monks Kenjo, the supervisor of monks Senshan, the supervisor of monks Yohen, and the Dharma I Chikaku along with 6 attendant monks each, carried out for the most part at the main temple building. The ceremony of wish-granting wheel, carried out by the administrator of monks Myokyoin and 8 accompanying monks at the command of Lady Gishumon-in. And the ceremony of the heavenly king Vaishvarana, carried out by the administrator of monks Jojuin, or Ryoson, of the Mii, with 6 accompanying monks at the command of Shichin. And there were also objects of devotion that were fashioned in a single day. The secret ceremonies based on them included the ceremony of the wisdom king craving filled of the prescribed method, carried out by the head of Ninna-ji temple in Shishinden Palace from the 3rd day of the 5th month and for the following 14 days. The ceremony of the Buddha eye, carried out by the administrator of monks Daijo for 21 days. The ceremony of the 6 characters, carried out by the supervisor of monks Kaiga. The ceremony of the wisdom king craving filled, carried out by the administrator of monks Kangon for 7 days. The ceremony of immovable, carried out by Kanju-ji temple's administrator of monks, with 8 accompanying monks, all holding supervisory posts in the monkdom. The great awesome virtue ceremony carried out by the administrator of monks Aki, and the ceremony of the boy diamond pounder carried out by the same person. This completes the list of the 15 ceremonies performed before altars. On the 15th day of the 5th month, Igataro Hogen Mitsui was attacked and defeated in the capital. On the 19th day of the same month, word of this reached Kamakura. When the news arrived in the capital that a large force of troops had been dispatched on the 21st day to attack the capital, the remainder of the ceremonies were performed, beginning on the 8th day of the 6th month. These consisted of the ceremony of the Honorable Star King, performed by the administrator of monks Kakucho, the ceremony of the Wisdom King, Great Commander, performed by the supervisor of monks Zhao, the ceremony of the 5 altars, performed by the administrator of monks Daijo, the Dharmasil Eshin, the supervisor of monks Zenson, the supervisor of monks Yuen, and the supervisor of monks Gyohin, and the ceremony of the Protection Sutra, presided over by the head of the Ninna-ji. It was the 2nd time this ceremony was performed in our country. On the 21st day of the 5th month, the governor of Musashi started for the capital on the Tokaido Road, while the leader of the Genji clan of Kai set out on the Tosando Road. The Lord Shikibu advanced via the Hokuriko Road. On the 5th day of the 6th month, the defending forces at Otsu were defeated by the Genji of Kai, and on the 13th and 14th days of the 6th month, the 2 sides engaged in battles at the Uji Bridge. On the 14th, the defenders of the capital suffered defeat, and on the 15th of the same month, the governor of Musashi entered the Rokujo headquarters along with his men. On the 11th day of the 7th month, the retired emperor Gotoba was banished to the island province of Oki. The retired emperor Chuchimikado was banished to the province of Awa, and the retired emperor Juntoku was banished to the island province of Sado. Nichiren not unfamiliar with these things, yeah? In addition, 7 members of the court were put to death. The great evil doctrine of these ceremonies over the years steadily made its way to the Kanto region, where it was embodied in the superintendents or attendant monks of various temples who repeatedly performed these ceremonies. The performers of the ceremonies from the beginning could not distinguish between correct and erroneous teachings, between superior and inferior doctrines, but assumed that it was sufficient merely to revere the three treasures. So without a thought, they employed these ceremonies. And now not only the provinces of Kanto, but the chief monks and superintendents of Maohye, Toji, and Onjoji have all come under the jurisdiction of the Kanto authorities, so that, as a result, the latter are in the position of supporting these ceremonies. Question: why do you insist upon referring to the true word teachings as an incorrect doctrine? Has he not been clear enough yet on this? Not just the outright lies and fabrication that they've included in their own version of the Lotus Sutra? Hasn't he proven this out many, many times? All right. Answer. The great teacher Kobo has stated, quote, the Mahavarochana Sutra is first, the Flower Garland Sutra second, and the Lotus Sutra is third. Oh, thank you for including the Lotus Sutra. But one should examine this ranking carefully. In what sutra did the Buddha discuss the relative worth of these three sutras and deliver this judgment? Where'd you get this? It's certainly not the words of the Innumerable Meaning or Lotus Sutra itself. If there is in fact a sutra that declares that the Mahavarochana Sutra ranks first, the Flower Garland second, and the Lotus third, then we should accept that statement as true, because those would be the words of Shakyamuni, yeah? But if there is no such passage, then it's not possible to accept this assertion, right? This is obviously you making this up. And who are you? Where's your authority to write the words of Buddhism as though spoken by Shakyamuni himself? Right? Where's your evidence? Well, I'm important. That's my evidence, right? That would be the answer. So Nichiren goes on. The Lotus Sutra states, so here comes some evidence. Medicine King, now I say to you, I have preached various sutras, and among those sutras, the Lotus is the foremost, end quote. Here the Buddha is referring to all the teachings that he has expounded and stating that the most among these, the Lotus ranks the first. The Buddha's preaching and writings of the great teacher Kobo are as much at variance with each other as fire and water. We should investigate and clarify this matter. He continues. Over a period of several hundred years, ordinary monks and high-ranking monks have studied the writings of Kobo, and eminent and humble, high and low, have put their strong resolve in them and honored the Mahavarochana Sutra as the foremost among all the sutras, because that's what this teacher taught, and they just followed, right? This does not accord with the intention of the Buddha, of Shakyamuni Buddha, right? Oh, by the way, I've put up a great revision of this book, the Nichiren on Mandala and Gohonzon, clarifying where it should state Shakyamuni Buddha, and so on and so forth. So I just finished that last night, and I put it up on threefoldlotus.com. So that's a completely revised, cleaned up. I apologize for not having done that in the first place. I relied too much on my earlier scholarship, which was incomplete, so my apologies there. And it's also available as a print book, right? And also been updated there, just to let you know. Thoughtful persons should examine the matter with great care. For if we put strong resolve in writings that do not accord with the intention of the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, how can we hope to attain Buddhahood? I mean, isn't he the originator? If we don't follow what he's saying, then we're not practicing Buddhism. We're practicing something else, right? Follows logic. And if we follow such writings in offering chanting for the nation, how can we fail to bring about misfortune? We're putting our energy behind something false. So what are we going to achieve? Falsehoods, right? Moreover, Kobo writes, quote, "The Buddhist teachers of China vied with one another to steal the ghee," right? The most refined teaching. The meaning of this statement is that the great teacher Tendai and the others stole the ghee of the true word teachings and called it the ghee of the Lotus Sutra. This statement is the most important point. This was a total sham. When the great teacher Tendai applied the simile of ghee to the Lotus Sutra, basing himself on the passage in the Nirvana Sutra, he declared that among all the sutras, the Lotus Sutra is worthy to be compared to ghee. He got this from the words of Shakyamuni Buddha. He didn't invent it. He didn't steal it from true word people. The true word teaching was introduced to China from India 200 years or more after the time of Tendai. See, Tendai enjoyed a great deal of respect, success, if you will, simply because of his scholarship and the fact that he cleaned up the mess that local folklore had done to the scholarship of Buddhism. Tendai just totally corrected all of that, and all of the schools in China bowed down to him as the preeminent master. They understood and they saw where he was correct. But 200 years pass and a lot of things happen, yeah? And now new, young upstarts, they want that fame. They don't want to kowtow to something that's been gone 200 years. Screw that. You would think they would be really, really devout to the ancestry, right? The Chinese, all of Asia, but the Chinese are very particular about piety to filial ancestral roots. But, that's an ideal. In actual fact, there's always going to be greedy, manipulative people in the world. So that's how the True Word School became founded. Later generations, they weren't aware of that. They just thought, well, this is the right one. But Nichiren's pointing it out now, right? How then could Tendai possibly have stolen the ghee of the true word teaching and called it the ghee of the Lotus Sutra when he'd been dead 200 years before? What nonsense, right? Of all strange events, this would be the strangest. What evidence is there for calling persons who lived 200 years or more before the true word teaching was even introduced to China thieves? Are we to put strong resolve in these writings of the great teacher Kobo? Or are we to put strong resolve in the Nirvana Sutra, where the Buddha likens the Lotus Sutra to ghee? Shakyamuni Buddha, the originator. If we are to regard the great teacher Tendai as a thief, then how are we to interpret this passage in the Nirvana Sutra? And if we accept the passage in the Nirvana Sutra as reliable and conclude that the writings of Kobo are, to be polite, incorrect, then what are we to think of people who put strong resolve in such erroneous teachings? If not fools themselves, certainly fooled, right? All I can say is that one should compare the writings of the great teacher Kobo and the pronouncements of Shakyamuni Buddha, and then put one's strong resolve in the one that proves to be correct. Still another question. I'm still in doubt. Really? The Mahavarachana Sutra represents the teaching expounded by the thus come one Mahavarachana, who, by the way, is an invention of Shakyamuni's. Hello? Oh, no, I don't know. I think Mahavarachana was real. In the scope of storytelling, he was real, But nobody thinks Little Red Riding Hood was an actual person, do they? And if that is so, then to use the teaching expounded by Shakyamuni Buddha to attempt to controvert the teaching expounded by the Thus Come One Mahavajracana is surely not at all in accord with reason, is it? Oh, you want to bring reason into this? Answer. Who were the parents of the Thus Come One Mahavajracana? Yeah, man, this would make a great series. Netflix should pick this up. Who were the parents of the Thus Come One Mahavajracana, and in what country did they appear when he expounded the Mahavajracana Sutra? Even if it simply appeared in the world without parents, then in what sutra is it mentioned that such a Buddha would appear in the world to expound his teaching during the 5,670 million years between the passing of Shakyamuni Buddha and the appearance of Maitreya, the compassionate, honored one? Where does he fit into all this scholarship? Well, if there are no passages of proof, then who would put a strong resolve in such an assertion? The true word doctrines are full of mistaken assertions of this kind, which is why I spoke of them as erroneous teachings. The list of errors is all but inexhaustible. I have done no more than give one or two examples. In addition to the true word, the authorities rely on the Zen and the Nembutsu schools. These doctrines all represent provisional teachings of the type set forth before the truth had been fully revealed. They are not the tenets that lead to the attainment of Buddhahood, but rather will create karma that condemns one to the hell of incessant suffering, believing one to be superior and never disconnecting from the engine of suffering, right? Persons who practice them are guilty of slandering the law. So how could their chanting possibly be answered? Or, in other words, they're like shouting into a jar. How can they possibly receive an echo back from their environment, right? It's nonsense. One who is a ruler of a nation has become so because in the past he upheld the correct teachings and served Shakyamuni Buddha, or Buddhaness. It is through the calculations of the heavenly kings Brahma and Shakra, the gods of the sun and moon, the four heavenly kings, and the other, that all rulers, great and small, succeed in acquiring their districts and domains. Thus the sutra says, quote, "Now, when I use the 5 types of vision to clearly perceive the 3 existences, I see that in their past existences, all the rulers served 500 Buddhas, and that is the reason that they are or were able to become emperors and sovereigns," end quote. So this is kind of a Buddhism's version of meritocracy, right? If your attitude and your intent are for the good of others, the good of humanity, the good of life, the proper adjudication of social order, then it is proper and correct that you would rise amongst the populace to lead. That's what he's saying, right? Today, it's not so clear-cut. It's pretty damn muddy, and we have a lot of people in power that have no business being in power. But they're in power because of the very same mechanisms, although polluted by greed, anger, manipulation, stupidity. They seem, because they spout the noise that seems to be right, but it doesn't mirror their actions, and the people who follow them don't look very deeply into their actual work and what they mean by their words, or if they even follow through on them, right? We live in a very polluted, corrupted state of humanity today. So it becomes very hard to find and latch onto and follow, have confidence in the truth. Thus, this resource, right? Our desire to practice the truth. But if one turns one's back on the Lotus Sutra and follows the erroneous teachers of the true word or the Zen or the Nembutsu, then although one may carry out all kinds of good deeds, you have a good intent, right? These will never accord with the will of the Buddha or Buddha-ness, and will go against the intention of the gods. One should give very careful thought to this matter. And the gods, as you know, it's the forces of the universe, if you will, the forces of the engine of life, right? If you think that you're in concert with the engine of life, but you're actually taking lives, putting obstacles in life, how long can you maintain that, even though you think you're doing right, before it becomes obvious, not only to everyone else, but certainly to you, that you must be mistaken? Right? Simple formula. Do the results mirror the intent? If they don't, then maybe what's behind your intent is incorrect. It can be very humbling, right? It is a rare thing to be born as a human being. And if, having been born as such, you do not do your best to distinguish between the correct doctrine and the incorrect, so that in the future you may attain Buddhahood, then you are certainly not fulfilling your true worth as a human being. That's actually quite a core statement of Buddhism, right? Why practice Buddhism at all? To perfect our being, to experience the greatest ability, the greatest potential, the best potential, the most amazing life that we can achieve. Why else practice anything or do anything? Really, is everything for the almighty oil dollar, petrodollar as it's called? That doesn't make you a better human being, right? Don't we all want to excel at being fully who we are? Isn't that what we want others to love us for? Not for our stuff, but who we actually are. Don't we want to feel like we can express ourselves fully without hiding any part of ourselves and be accepted and loved for it? Isn't that the goal of humanity? And if it is, not only should we and do we expect to do and achieve that, but why would we keep anyone else from achieving it? Lying to ourselves is lying to everybody else. Self and environment, not two things. Moreover, after the great teacher Jikaku had visited China, he turned against the doctrines of his original teacher, the great teacher Dengyo, and worked to spread the true word doctrines on Mount Hiei. He was jealous. Age-old thing, isn't it? In order to do so, he offered up chanting and claimed that, as a result, he had had a dream in which he shot an arrow at the sun and caused the sun to roll over and over. Evidently, he thought that was an indication of his power, but Nichiren has pointed out several times, was like, you think killing the sun was a good thing? For more than 400 years now, the people have all looked upon this as an auspicious dream. 400 years. But in a country such as Japan, it is in fact a dream of particularly ill omen, right? Japan is The land of the sun. You killed the sun. How is it that the Japanese are following this guy? King Chao of the Yin dynasty shot an arrow at the sun, and as a result, he perished. Even though this dream is a matter associated with the reincarnation of a Buddha, you should ponder it very carefully. In response to your questions, what I have touched on here is like a mere hair from the hides of 9 heads of cattle. And that's how that ends. Again, some of these statements in this Gosho sound like they're Nichiren statements. They have the voice of Nichiren, but some sound like they're reporting on what they've heard from Nichiren. So the authenticity of this Gosho is a little uncertain, but the scholarship of it rings true with Nichiren's thoughts and teachings. So I thought it had value. It was specifically on chanting, and I thought that was interesting to learn in the context of Mandala versus Gohonzon, right? This is very much concerned with the attitude and intent in the mind. And this is the topic of Gohonzon, constantly through Nichiren. The mandala, not often written about specifically, is about a tool that he created to embody his insights into the practice of Myoho Renge Kyo, the Lotus Sutra. That's extremely valid as well, but it's a different thing. The scroll won't enlighten you. The mandala won't enlighten you. The mandala is the process of using the scroll to penetrate Nichiren's focus on the key aspects of Myoho Renge Kyo, so that we can open our mind of Gohonzon to experience Buddha. Yeah, it's a lot of words, but understand where these concepts are located. That scroll is not Gohonzon. It is a perfect mirror of Shakyamuni's teachings for you to engage your Gohonzon, your portal to Buddha-ness. So yeah, it has tremendous value. But understand how it works, what it's for. This final Gosho, not tremendously brief, but short nonetheless, the real aspect of Gohonzon. And that's what we'll close this book out with, and we'll save that for the next video. Please be here for that. And again, I'll remind you that the revised version of this book is now available as an ebook and a print book. Revised only. I mean, if you've already bought it, you're good, you're fine. As long as you understand and you can distinguish between what is Shakyamuni Buddha and what is Buddha conceptually, right? Or the various words, the various personages created to represent Buddha-ness, yeah? Including Mahavarachana, right? That's a particular insight, right? But Mahavarachana was not an actual person. It's a personage that Shakyamuni invented in order to tell a story of mental capacities and exercises to get each one of us to open our personal portal, our Gohonzon mind. All right. Look forward to the next one. And I think I've already told you I'm hard at work on Nichiren on karma, which hopefully will settle the matter and be a source of a good source of study for a common and an indelible understanding of what karma is. Yeah. And I've talked about it before, and I have other books where I mention it. And the book on independent Nichiren practice goes into karma heavily, more than this book will. This isn't an exposition on Sylvain's opinion of karma. It starts with an introductory chapter called What is Karma, which is of my composition, but then it goes into Nichiren Gosho's, specifically pointing out different aspects of karma, and we will do a video series on that as well, and I will go into it, read Nichiren's words as best as they're translated, and make sense of them, all coming back to what is karma, yeah? So hopefully we will have an unshakable understanding of what this is all about, what this practice and how it works, and what karma is, so on and so forth. So, in the meantime, thank you so much. Patrons on Patreon, through PayPal, purchasers of print books, ebooks, you guys are keeping this rolling along. We're slowly growing. We continue to grow. It's really wonderful to see subscribers from all over the world. It's so essential to grow this Sangha, to imprint on the world around us a better state of humanity, an understanding of life as this most precious opportunity, how fleeting it is. Make a good impact, become better expressions of ourselves. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for all that effort. I know it takes dedication and effort, and I have deep appreciation for your commitment. So with that said, please take care of your health, right? And those around you, be kind. And I will see you in the next one. Okay? Bye for now. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They'll deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go, go, go.